This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at AWS.com/learn more.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast. You know, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, or maybe you just want to outsmart me on something I said, give us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but still some football season left. Basketball season is in prime time right now. It's in full effect. So go ahead, save $20 off your next ticket purchase using that promo code, The Run Podcast. Now, anyway, look, man, we had a very, very interesting Sunday for the NFL. Week 15 is here. There were some games I predicted. I was wrong about actually most of them, which is just kind of crazy. But one of the games where I was kind of right, I was close to being right, but I was still wrong, which really doesn't count. But the Buffalo Bills played the Detroit Lions, which was an incredible game to watch here. This was two elite teams battling it out. And I said from the jump, this was a test for both teams to see how legitimate, I guess in quotations, legitimate these teams actually are. But the Lions, they fell short to the Buffalo Bills, 48-42. And it was crazy, man. This was a beautiful game of football from head to toe here. And in my prediction, I initially said the Detroit Lions would win this game just based on them being able to capitalize on certain aspects from the Bills. The Bills, they struggled defensively last week or 2 weeks ago against the Rams. They allowed the Rams to put up 44 or 42 points, something like that. And I just thought that was too much for a Rams offense. Yeah, they're streaky and all, but initially this is why I was saying the Lions are going to win this game. But it turns out I was wrong. And I have no shame in being wrong because they lost to what I can say now. Lions losing to the Buffalo Bills. They lost to the best team in the NFL. I can honestly say that, and that's what I witnessed. They lost to the best team in football right now. They lost to the MVP in Josh Allen, and he showed exactly why he's going to be the MVP. I have no shame in admitting it. And, you know, there's a couple different things you could take away from looking at this Bills team and how great they were and how polished they were against the Detroit Lions. And the first thing you got to make a case for is Josh Allen. I don't even think it needs to be a debate on if Josh Allen is the MVP anymore. I think the discussion needs to be, is Josh Allen the best quarterback in the NFL right now? And this includes Patrick Mahomes. This includes Lamar Jackson. This includes any other quarterback you can think of in the league right now. Because the way this man played in week 15 against the Lions and the way he's been playing in a consecutive basis week after week has just been incredible. It's incredible. I mean, I know the league is hyping him up, so I don't mean to get on here and pump up the case of Josh Allen being MVP. He has enough of that. But the things I saw against this Lions game, and I thought they had Josh Allen at times, it was remarkable to watch. I mean, he played a flawless game. Like seeing these throws that he made across the body, drifting out to the left, but throwing right. It was just crazy. Extending the play, his ability to extend the play is, man, it's immaculate. This dude has been on another level. It's wild. He threw for 2 touchdowns, over 350 passing yards, 0 turnovers, and a QBR of 122. And I believe the QBR is on a scale of 150. So this dude, man, it was crazy. He led the Bills offense just downfield every time. Lions had no answer. They had Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, in hell. Oh my gosh. Boy, I just know he was going through it mentally, trying to figure out how the hell he could slow down Josh Allen. And I'll get to the Lions in a sec too, because I'm going to talk about them. But right now, I got to give praise to the Buffalo Bills for taking care of business. That offense, they looked unstoppable. And I know the Lions have a lot of injuries right now, but the Bills, man, they literally did not punt the ball the entire game. And they got a lot of creative. They really doubled down and got creative on the offensive end too, in situations where you had to capitalize. So I loved what I seen from the Buffalo Bills on 3rd and 4th downs, especially from an offensive sense. But it was a great game of football on both sides. And ultimately, this game came down to the Detroit Lions not being able to stop the Buffalo Bills. It was just that simple. Lions were solid. They ended up picking it up on the offensive end. And they tried all game to make sure they stayed in striking range, which they did. They just couldn't stop the offense. That was the biggest part here for the Detroit Lions. And they weren't even trailing at a point where it's like the game is over. And there was times where it seemed like the Bills just kind of wrapped up the game, but the Lions were there. If you were watching the game, you seen the Lions stayed in striking distance. They were right there. They were up close to the Bills. And anything that went wrong for the Buffalo Bills, it could have easily turned to the Lions' advantage, and the Lions could have won this game. So there was some things. They started slow on offense, which kind of hurt them because they were playing from behind right away. The defense, man, they got rolled through. They got rolled over, and I know a lot of people, when I mention the defense, is going to bring up all the injuries. And yes, I know the Lions have a shit ton of injuries, but at the end of the day, it's not an excuse. And I'll get to the injuries, but before the injuries, another key component for this game here, outside of injuries, was the coaching. People wanted to mention the coaching on Dan Campbell. We know Dan Campbell is an aggressive coach. This dude, he goes for it on 4th down damn near every time. He kicked the onside kick with 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Ridiculous. In my opinion, it's ridiculous. There's been people out there that said, oh, well, Dan Campbell kicking this onside kick in the 4th quarter with 12 minutes left is not a bad thing. And I understand that perspective because the defense was getting rolled on the entire game. You want to have the Bills get a field goal. It's still going to be a 2-possession game, whether they score, kick, a field goal. Either way, it's still a 2-possession game just because of how much they were down. And then you want to limit the amount of time the Bills can waste by kicking it short and giving them less field position to run the ball or run the clock out, whatever the case is. I get it. I get all of that stuff. And that's nice. But at the end of the day, bro, you cannot do that. I'm on the side of kicking the onside kick when you have 12 minutes left in the 4th and you're down 10 points. It's stupidity. Stupidity. And I say this because, yeah, I know your offense was getting rolled through, so you want to give them less time. But ultimately, if you go out there and play defense, it's always going to be harder for a team to score from the opponent's 20-yard line compared to your own 20-yard line. If they have to go 80 yards to score versus 10 yards to score, it's going to be a completely different situation. And for the Lions, look, you were bad on defense. We know. But anything could have happened where it worked out for your advantage. A simple mistake from the Buffalo Bills could have still set you up where you were down 10 and you didn't give them a gimme type of touchdown because you wanted to do an onside kick. So that's my only thing there. That's my stance on the onside kick. And injuries is people just continue to go down with the Lions, man. They continue to go down. This isn't anything where, oh, it's like they played bad because of injury. Like, no. They were already injured coming into this game. And I think if anything, it says a lot about the Lions coaching staff to even keep the game competitive and close when you're out there with 4th and 5th string guys playing against the Buffalo Bills starters. That says a lot about what they can do. And there's no team, there's not a single team in the NFL that's built to be great when they're playing with 4th and 5th stringers on the field. There's not one team who can still make something happen because the Lions got more people on IR than anybody in the NFL right now, and they're still kicking butt week after week after week without guys who are supposed to be starters, without 2nd string guys, without 3rd string guys. So this is impressive to me, but the chances of going to the Super Bowl and actually winning oh, they're getting more and more slim because now you got the health crisis going on. You just lost David Montgomery. You lost another defensive end. You lost another cornerback in Carlton Davis. Like, people are just dropping like flies with the Lions. They were built like a juggernaut when they were healthy, but they become beatable to a subpar team so far. So it's rough, man. And now it's really time for them to just weigh on the outscoring their opponents because the defense is shot, man. No linebackers. You just lost a corner, another defensive lineman done went down. So it's rough. It's rough for those guys. But anyway, look, man, here, we got Dan Campbell here. He was asked about injuries at the end of the game after the loss with the Bills. So here's Dan Campbell. The audio's from Fox 2 News.
We've lost players, we've lost really good players, but nobody cares. I mean, nobody cares, and nobody's going to give us a pass or put an asterisk next to your record. So what it means is some guys are going to have an unbelievable opportunity. Because of what has happened, that means now, man, you're a guy who's on the vet squad, or you're a young player, or you're somebody that's been dying to get an opportunity, you're about to get it. And so that's a pretty cool thing. That's a pretty inspiring thing. What are you going to do with it? And it's up to us to give them a plan to where they can succeed. And I've said it before, we play with 3 units here. And we'll do what we have to do to win a game. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters from here on out, is that you just need to have one more point than the opponent, period.